Good morning, everyone. So this is APPA Public School, and today we are going to do a new lesson in biology, that is forests are lifeline. Okay. So before we go for this lesson, we need to know what are forests. What are forests? Okay, so forests, these are an area or a piece of land where we can find the trees and different varieties of plants. So we call this as a forest. Okay, so forest, it is an area or a piece of land where we can find the trees and different type of plants. So we call these as forest. Okay, and now next thing, forest, a dynamic living entity. Forest, a dynamic living entity. So why is it called as a forest, a dynamic living entity? Because we can find here different type of plants, animals, birds, insects, microorganisms, so this is why you see forest is known as a dynamic living entity. So we can find here different type of living organisms, like different type of plants will be there, animals, birds, insects, microorganisms, and many more things will be present here in the forest. So forest, a dynamic living entity. Okay, then definition I already told you. Forest is an area or a piece of land where we could see the trees and different type of plants, and this is all about the forest. Okay, then have you ever visited a forest? Most of you might have visited. So whenever we go in the forest, you see we have to maintain silence. We should not make noise. We should not make noise or loud sound. Okay, so that what happens here, the birds and the animals will get disturbed. So whenever we go to a forest, we need to maintain silence. Okay, so we should not make noise or we should not make a loud sound. So this will disturb the birds and the other animals in the forest. Then in the forest we can find different type of plants, different type of animals also even. Okay, so different varieties of plants and animals will be found in the forest. Okay, so many plants and animals will be there in the forest. So next thing, we shall go for the importance of forest. What is the importance of forest? First thing, if you want to say, then forest, you see, they are also known as the lungs of the earth. Importance of forest. Importance of the forest. First thing, the forests are also known as the lungs of the earth because they will purify the air. Because the forest will purify the air. They are also known as the lungs of the earth because they will purify the air. How? You already know there is a process named as photosynthesis. So you all know that what happens during the process of photosynthesis. So as the plants are being found in the forest, plants are there, trees are there, they are being found in the forest. So what happens here? The process of photosynthesis will take place. If there are more number of plants and trees, then you see the process of photosynthesis will also be more. When it is more, then you see what happens. It helps in maintaining the oxygen balance in the atmosphere. Because as of we all know that photosynthesis, during this process, the green plants, they will make use of carbon dioxide. for the process of photosynthesis. The green plants and the trees, you see what they do is they will make use of carbon dioxide and they will release oxygen. Okay, so in this way the oxygen balance is maintained in the atmosphere, and this oxygen is very essential for all the living organisms for the process of respiration. So in this way you see forests, they are very useful and they are also known as the lungs of the earth, as they will purify the air and they will release the during the process of photosynthesis. The green plants, they will make use of carbon dioxide and they will release oxygen. And one more thing is also happening here, as these plants and trees from the forest, they will make use of carbon dioxide. So when they are making use of carbon dioxide, then you see these plants and trees in the forest, they will not allow the carbon dioxide to get accumulated into the atmosphere. You already know, when the percentage of carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere, then you see it causes air pollution, no doubt in that. And not only that, even when this carbon dioxide will get accumulated into the atmosphere, it also causes global warming. It also causes global warming. Okay, so I hope so you have understood regarding the importance of the forest in this manner, as they serve as the lungs of the earth, as they will purify the air. The next importance, forests are useful in many ways. They are useful in many ways, not only in this matter, okay? They are useful in many ways. So let us see how they are useful to us. So forests brings rain. Now you may wonder how the forest will bring rain. So forest brings rain. How? We have dealt in the previous lessons regarding transpiration. I hope in transportation in animals and plants, we have discussed about transpiration. So what is transpiration? So the plants, okay, or the green plants, they will give out the excess of water in the form of vapor. So plants, you see, so during the process of transpiration, what is transpiration? It is a process during which the plants will give out the excess of water in the form of vapor. Now what happens due to evaporation? Okay, and due to this transpiration and evaporation will take place. As a result of this, the water vapor travels into the atmosphere, formation of clouds will take place, and you already know the process of water cycle. So in this way, even forests, they are very useful in the bringing of rain, or forest brings rain. Okay, so by the process of transpiration and evaporation, so in this way forests are useful in bringing the rain. So you might have observed, wherever there are forests, we can see that there is rainfall, there is heavy rainfall wherever, or there will be more rainfall in the places where the forests are located. So in this way the forests are useful and they brings the rain. Okay, so this is also one of the importance of the forest. The next thing, serves as a home for plants and animals. Home for many plants and animals. And plants and animals, I have already told you, insects are there, microorganisms are there. Okay, and apart from this, even these forests are useful for the tribals also. Even the forests are very useful for the tribal people, the people who will be living in the or nearby the forest. So even these forests are very useful for the tribal people. They will get all their household things, okay, everything from the forest. So whatever things they need, okay, to run the family, they would be getting it from the forest. Okay, so in this way, forest serves as a home for many plants and animals, and even these forests are also useful for the tribals. Okay, then leave this one and just see, just make a list of the things which we will be getting from the forest. What and all things we will get from the forest? We'll get many things from the forest, right? We'll get the gum is there, honey is there, sealing wax is there, wood we will get. Okay, so there are many things are there, and even there are very useful, as we all know. Ours is a very rich culture. You see, we have got the ancient system of this thing, medicine, that is Ayurveda. It is the oldest system where the diseases are being cured by using the plants and the plant derivatives. So we call this system of medicine as Ayurveda, and we will get the different type of medicinal plants. Medicinal plants will get from the forests. Okay, so in this way, you see, forests are very useful. So they are, we will get these gums, okay, and we will get some oils also even from the forests. Okay, oils, gum, honey, sealing wax, wood, okay, medicinal plants, and the fodder for the animals. So all these things. And what about in our houses itself, or in the classroom also? You can see we have got the tables, we have got the chairs, we have got the windows, we have got the doors in our house, which we will be doing all those things from with the help of wood. So okay, so in this way, forests are very useful, and we will get all these things, and many more things are there which we will be getting from the forest. Okay, and not only that, the paper which we write in, okay, we are writing in paper, right? So paper, even the paper also we are getting from the forest only. So they say that 17 completely grown trees are required to make a ton of paper. Okay, so we are getting the paper also from the forest. So we are getting the paper also from the forest. Okay, so these were all some of the uses of the forest. Okay, so these are the importance of the forest. Forests prevent air pollution also. Even I have already told you regarding that. So this was all the importance of the forest. And let me tell you, if there is a forest, then we can see the different shape, size, plants and trees. Okay, so you'll be getting the different shape and sized plants in the forest. And let us talk about the herbs, shrubs, and tree. Herbs, shrubs, and tree. So these herbs are the, okay, this is the lowest layer. Okay, these are the small plants. Okay, so small plants are there, so we call them as herbs. Okay, the next is shrubs. These are the medium sized plants, like a rose plant, okay, or a hibiscus. So these are shrubs. These are the medium sized plants. Then tree, they are tall as well as huge. Okay, So these are the different sized plants are there. Okay, herbs, shrubs, tree, and we have also got climbers. They will climb the support of the neighboring plant and they will grow. And creepers, they will grow on the ground. Okay, like a green vegetation on the ground. Okay, so these are the different type of plants which will be found. Okay, herbs, shrubs, and tree. Now let us talk about the different layers of this forest. So here we have got, as the plants, we could see medium sized plants are there. There are some plants which are so very tall. Okay, so the tall trees, okay. So these tall trees, you see, this layer, okay, is known as the canopy. And this forms as a roof. Okay, this forms as a roof. Then after that, some plants are there which will be growing from the branches. Okay, so we call this plants, okay, of this layer as understory. Then at last we have got the forest floor. At last we have got the forest floor. So these are the things, okay. And this canopy, as it forms as a roof, okay, it does not allow much of the sunlight or rain to fall down to the forest floor, okay, because it forms as a roof and it is not completely covering, okay, but it does not allow most of the sunlight and water to reach the forest floor, as it forms as a roof. So this layer we call it as canopy, okay, and this is understory, and at last this is forest floor. Okay, now at the forest floor, you see, we can find the dead parts of the leaves, animals, plants. Okay, they all will fall here to the forest floor. Okay, and now what happens, you see, here is this layer. This is moist and warm also even. This is moist and warm. Why it is moist? So let me tell you, you see, this layer also consists of humus. Now you may ask, what is this humus? Okay, humus is formed because of the, you see, dead parts of the plants and animals are there in this layer, right? So now what happens is the microorganisms, what they do is they will convert the dead part of these plants and animals into humus. And these microorganisms which converts the dead and decaying matter into humus, they are also called as decomposers. They are also called as decomposers. Okay, they will decay the dead parts of the plants and animals and they form the humus. So they are also known as decomposers. Okay, I hope so all these things are being clear to you. Then next, next thing we shall go for is food chain. Food chain. Now you may ask, what is this food chain now? There are different type of food chains which are being found in the forest. Now I'll take one small example here. Insects before insects I'll take grass. Because grass, you see, as we all know, grass or the green plants, they are the main source of food for all the other living organisms. The main source of food is plants because they prepare their own food. That is why we also call them as autotrophs. So these are the green plants which will prepare their own food for themselves, as well as they will provide the food for the other organisms. So they are autotrophs. And what are heterotrophs? Yeah, these are the organisms which are not capable of preparing their own food. They will depend on the other organisms or the plants for their food. So they are called as heterotrophs. Again, in this heterotrophs, again you see we have got herbivores, carnivores, omnivores. So these are the again different type of animals based on the type of food which they eat. Okay, so this is all about the autotrophs and the heterotrophs. Okay, now I was telling you regarding the food chain. Food chain. Okay, now for example, this grass is being eaten by insects. Now these insects, they are being eaten by frog. Frog is being eaten by snake. And the snake is being eaten by eagle. When the eagle dies, what happens? It will fall to the ground. Again, the decomposers, what they do? They will convert the dead part of these animals into nutrients. Again, what happens? These nutrients are being supplied to the grass or the plants or the grass. They will make use of these nutrients from the soil. They will grow. Again, what happens? You see, this thing will go on continue. So this is like a chain, food chain. Grass is being eaten by insects, insects are being eaten by frog, frog is being eaten by snake, snake is being eaten by eagle. When eagle dies, again what happens? It will get decayed and the microbes or microorganisms, they will act on it, they will convert it into humus or the nutrients. Okay, so this is called as a food chain. And this type of food chains, there are so many different types of food chains which are being found in the forest. This is just one which I have told you, but there will be many food chains which will be found in the forest. Okay, so this is called as food chain. And here every part is related to the another part. They are dependent on another parts. Each part is dependent on every other part. Okay, so they are all interrelated. They are all interrelated. Okay, so they all are interrelated. Each part is related to every other part. Okay, in the forest. And now one more thing. Now, to maintain the balance in nature, the survival of each and every organism, each and every part in the food chain is very, very important. Okay, the survival of each and every part or each and every organism in the food chain is very important to maintain the balance in nature. To maintain the balance in nature. Now, for example, just think that, okay, just think that there are no insects. Then what happens? The frog will not get the food. Okay, is it okay? Then frogs may die. If the frogs will die, the snakes will not get their food, right? Then see, if the snakes are not there, eagle will not get its food. So what happens? The imbalance is created into the atmosphere. I'll give you one more example. Now herbivores are there. Herbivores are the plants, right? Now plants, they are being eaten by the herbivorous animals. Now herbivorous animals, they are being eaten by the carnivorous animals. Now you see what happens. Now just think that there are no herbivores. If there are no herbivores, then what will happen? The imbalance is created into the atmosphere. Carnivores, they will not get their food. If they will not get their food, then what happens? They will enter the cities, villages, or wherever they want, right? So in this way, what happens? You see, again, the imbalance is created into the atmosphere. So survival of each and every organism or each and every part in the food chain is very, very important to maintain the balance in nature. Okay, so this is how you see the food chain is being maintained, and there will be different type of food chains which will be found in the forest. So many types. So far we have discussed about the importance of the forest, okay? Importance of the forest, how the forests are very useful for us in many ways, okay? And we have also discussed about the food chain. Now next we shall go for deforestation. Yeah, what do you mean by deforestation? Cutting the forests, cutting down the forests is known as deforestation. Now, what is the reason? What is the reason for deforestation? As of we all know that our population is increasing rapidly day by day. So because of this, you see what happens? What man for his selfish needs, you see what he is doing? He is destroying the forest. He is cutting down the forest for his selfish needs to make the apartments, to construct the buildings, to construct the factories. Okay, so for all this reason, you see what the man is doing is for his selfish needs, he is cutting down the forest. You all know what it means to cut down the forest, because just now, before some time, we have discussed about the importance of forests. We have discussed about the importance of forests, how forests are very useful for us, and if these forests are being cut down, then you see what are the consequences which we are going to face. So they are very crucial. So we should not cut the forests, okay, because they are very useful and their importance we have already discussed. So cutting down the forest is known as deforestation. So why man is cutting down the forest? To make the houses, right? To construct the buildings, to make the factories, okay? So because of all this reason, you see deforestation is being done, so which is not a good sign. So we should not cut the forests. And now, what are the consequences? What happens if deforestation is being done? Then you see many things which we have talked. We have talked about the importance. So in the opposite of that, then what happens? All those things will go opposite of that. For example, now oxygen balance is not maintained into the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide will get accumulated into the atmosphere. When the carbon dioxide will get accumulated into the atmosphere, then it leads to global warming. When there is air pollution, this also leads to acid rain. Okay, so global warming is there, acid rain is there. Then it also reduces the rainfall. It also reduces the rainfall. It also reduces the rainfall. Okay, so all these things will happen, and you see, so that is why we should not cut the forest. These are all the consequences which we are going to face. Okay, and if it reduces the rainfall, then you see it will directly affect how do we grow the crops? With the help of rainfall, right? So if there is a reduced rainfall, then you see it will affect the growth of the crops also even. So this also leads to scarcity of food, and this also leads to scarcity of water also even. Okay, so in this way the forests are very useful for us. We have to grow the forest. Instead, you see what we are doing, the forests are being cut down, so this should be avoided. Then next, one more thing is that soil erosion. So what do you mean by soil erosion? The loss of topmost layer of the soil by the force of wind and water. is known as soil erosion. But if the plants and trees are there in the forest, if the plants and trees are there in the forest, then you see what happens. The roots of the plants and trees, they will hold the soil tightly and does not allow the soil to wash away by the force of wind and water. So even with the help of this forest, you see, we can prevent the soil erosion also. If the soil erosion will take place once, then you see what happens. The topmost layer of the soil, which consists of all the nutrients which are essential for the better growth of the crops, they are being washed away. Then the land becomes barren. As a result, you see, there will be lack of food also, even when we don't grow the crops. So in all these ways, you see, forests are very useful. So we'll stop here. The remaining part of the lesson we'll discuss in the next class. Thank you.